Okay, so good morning. It's good to be here back. As we've seen now in the past 2 minutes, sometimes we need to cope with technology issues. And actually, it's the topic of the shir in a different thing. The advancements in technology create questions in halacha that we never dealt with before. I'll just say first, as a preliminary remark, last night I thought, okay, I gave a great topic for the shir today, but I'm not sure people's mind are in this topic now. But I was reminded that half a year ago I gave you a very comprehensive series of shiurim about the war, and one of the big topics was there a hostage deal. We dealt with that. And the same parameters and things that I said last year, nothing changed. A lot changed in my humble eyes, and here now that's already, everyone has his opinion, whether everything was exactly the same on May or not exactly the same thing on May. I have an opinion. I want to express it here. Anyone wants to know personally what I think, I will say later. But my shir was not busy with such questions, which is for, here I think the rabbi has his opinion, and it's as good as anyone else's opinion regarding assessing the geopolitical situation. I don't think I have any added expertise more than anyone else here in the room. Of course, I think I'm very smart, but that's a different story. Nothing in my rabbinic background should give me an advantage. That's my personal opinion in analyzing the geopolitical situation. Technically, we'll say it this way, more than anyone else. But in terms of the sources that we analyzed and their meaning, this is all the same. Nothing changed, meaning that the halachic parameters that should be taken into considerations when a government decides on a deal. So we discussed it very thoroughly several months ago, and it's the same thing. So I saw no reason to give again that shir, even though today is so... And we'll therefore deal with the original topic, which was published. Quick reminder of the background. Let's read the title. Modern Mishpat Shlomo, the Assuta incident. Who does the baby belong to? Okay. Quick reminder. A little more than 2 years ago, that means something like November 22, I think, broke into the air. That was before the war, yeah. An incident that is, Baruch Hashem, very rare, we want to hope, that in Assuta Rishon LeZion, there was a lady, she was pregnant, she had an embryo in her womb, thinking that embryo is from her genetic and her partner's sperm and her egg. That's how and that's the way it was supposed to be. Just to explain, this lab or this hospital in Assuta, what they do, like other places in Israel, is Baruch Hashem, they help people, women and men that cannot become pregnant in the natural, ordinary way. Rather, they take a sperm, they take an egg, they mafrimota, fertilize.
In vitro
what?
Fertilization.
How do you call it?
In vitro fertilization.
In vivo fertilization. What we call IVF. So an IVF process in the lab, in the mavchena. How do you say mavchena? Test tube. Yeah, thank you. I knew that, but I just don't know how to translate. So in the test tube, and they and then after a certain period, they put it in a womb of a lady, and of course, they put it in the womb of the same lady. There was this lady or her husband have a problem in the fertilization process stage, so they solve it, and then they put it in the womb, and everyone is happy. What happens is, what happened there is a tragedy, is a terrible mistake, a mistake that should not be done. Mama should not be done. But, statistics are statistics and probabilities are probabilities. Maybe there was also problems with too much work. And I'm not getting into that. What happened, Tachlis, is that it was, since the embryo had issues, and by the way, the baby that was born, her name is Sophia. So both as an embryo and after she was born, she has medical issues, that baby, and that embryo. So they had to have all kinds of checks. And then I think something like maybe in the 6 months of pregnancy or at a certain stage of this pregnancy, it was clearly discovered that there was a mistake there, and that the embryo, her egg and sperm, is not the egg and sperm of the lady that actually carried her and her husband. Now, there is a whole mess, okay? There's a whole mess because the question is here, of course, who is the mother? What is, of course, the good of the child? Just to make long things short, first there was a fight, a legal fight, I'm talking, by the lady that carried and gave birth to Sophia, which we can frame it now, surrogate mom, but as opposed to a regular surrogate mom, as opposed to a surrogate mom, it's an imposed surrogate mom, meaning she didn't choose to be a surrogate mom, yeah? Just to clarify, we have cases, just to distinguish them, we have cases of people who are, let's say, not able, a lady for some reason is not able to carry a pregnancy, but there could be an IVF between the sperm of her husband and her egg. So they do that process, and then they have an agreement, an organized agreement with a surrogate mom that carries the embryo and gives birth to him, and everything is agreed to begin with, okay? That's the classic case of a surrogate, okay? Which in itself is a great topic for a shir, and by the way, we'll deal with that because you can't deal with our case without dealing with the regular issues of surrogate mom, or some of them. Here, the case is more complicated because no one asked her to be a surrogate mom. She didn't choose to be a surrogate mom. Someone made a mistake, and it turned out that she's a surrogate mom while she was thinking she's a regular mom. Okay? So that's the... And then, of course, there was a fight, a legal fight. Whether Bechlal to check who is the genetic mom. Whether Bechlal to check it, because that lady that gave the birth, that was pregnant and gave, she and her partner, I'm saying partner because I think she's not married, but she has a partner, but that's a technical thing. I mean, everyone knows and they were fighting together, okay? And they grew up, Sophia, for the first 2 years together, okay? I now jumped a little bit in the time tunnel, but I'm just saying, the first fight was whether at all to check. They said, we refuse that even there will be checks. Who is the genetic couple that the mistake was done. We are her parents. She's in my womb. I'm giving her birth. It will only complicate and confuse things. We refuse. Okay, that position of their lawyers and herself was rejected, meaning there was a decision to check the people that are potentially the genetic parents. Dafka, the first ones I think that were checked, that the Assuta thought that they were found not to be genetic parents, and then there was again a discussion. Maybe after we checked the first five, maybe we'll stop. No, but then there was an idea of another one. There was a fight about that. At any rate, at the end of the day, September. If the thing broke to the world in November 22, September 23, the genetic parents were found. Okay? September 23, after already, I think, the birth was done. September 23, yeah, definitely after. September 23, the genetic parents were found. By the way, it was the court allowed to publish this only half a year after September 23, meaning, and then there were, and as you see, it's an ongoing court discussions when the couple that gave birth to Sophia are claiming strongly that she's their daughter, and that's it. And the genetic parents are saying, well, excuse me, she's our daughter. That's why I called it Mishpat Shlomo. And there were all kinds of rounds in the court. And the last ruling of the Beit Mishpat L'Inyanei Mishpacha in Tel Aviv was that after 2 years, that she was at the couple. Of course, they quickly after the birth, they signed themselves as her parents, and the couple that gave birth to her, and the decision was in, and that was not that long ago, November, I think 24th of November 24, pretty recently. The Beit Mishpat L'Inyanei Mishpacha in Tel Aviv ruled that Sophie should be given to her genetic parents, even though she grew up in the 2 years with her with a certain couple, even though they of course took care of all the sicknesses and whatever, even though the mother could say, look, I carried her, I also went through painful things for that. I'm saying that even though, you'll see that I'll have strong arguments to the ruling of the court. Don't get me wrong. I'm just, with this hard decision, they took it and they said, this is what we think is right. And here, now I'll say things that are more in the marginal, but were mentioned. There were, of course, conflicting opinions of experts. I'm a clinical psychologist. I'm not that surprised, though I had a way. Of course, I read everything from the media, okay, so my knowledge is limited, but I could say there were social workers from the Revacha, welfare, that they claimed that the good of the child is not to be taken from the current home that she is growing up in. However, a very respected clinical psychologist that was appointed by court, I want to say, wasn't appointed by one side or another. It's important for me to say that. In a very, very thorough chavat dat. How do you say? What?
Opinion.
Yeah, opinion is, but yeah, that's okay. A detailed written opinion or whatever, or probably he appeared also in court. I don't know. He explained that in this case, the good of the child is to be given to the genetic parents, meaning exactly the opposite of the welfare social workers. The judge also mentioned, the judge had criticism, though he said that is not the reason for his decision or the court, but he said, I have to say these comments. Criticism about the way the parents that grew up Sophie raised her for the 2 years, the way they acted compared to the other side. And I'll explain. No, I'll explain. First of all, Gottlieb, the psychologist himself, mentioned that there was much more understanding and empathy from the parents, the genetic parents, and trying to understand the other side, involve them, whatever, as opposed to the very stubborn, zero understanding and empathy of that the case is a little complex of the parent, the couples that grew up Sophie, meaning there was an asymmetry there, and I must say that even I read it just yesterday. I mean, I read that comment of Gottlieb and of the judge based on Gottlieb, and by the way, Gottlieb thought that that's also the benefit of the child will also be influenced by that, meaning how each side's attitude towards the other couple. Not that was his main consideration for his decision, but I must say that I also, in a very superficial way, always when I heard lawyers of the sides, or I couldn't, that was the impression, meaning even after the decision, the genetic parents always say, let's keep Sophie's privacy, let's do it. And their pictures were in the air. The war was with all the weapons possible. That's one thing. And again, al tadun chavircha ad shetagia lemkomo. But this, the judge said it has to be, this thing has to be said.
Is there an appeal still? Or?
Yeah, now I'll say, so that was the decision. What?
Those decisions are generally reviewable by the district court.
Right, so I'll just say, you're absolutely right, meaning there was a decision in November 24th to that Sophie will go to the genetic parents, and 2 days later, the lawyers of the couple that raised her up. How did he say? What? That raised her up.
Losing side.
What? The losing side appealed to the Beit Mishpat Mechozi. So as we say, it's not over till it's over. And now so this is, I gave the background, and as you see, there are several, and now I want to make order in the discussion, our halachic discussion. Of course, it's not merely a halachic discussion, for sure. So I will narrow down what I want to say. There are many aspects in that case, and some of the aspects that I raised here, Dafka, in the background, meaning what is the good of the child, the tovat hayeled. Probably there is a good English term for tovat hayeled, the benefit of the child. That's what So the benefit of the child is definitely a very, very important consideration here, and I'll tell you what I think about it later. But I won't discuss that in the halachic discussion. I think the first discussion, both legally and, since I'm not a lawyer, halachically, is, first of all, the preliminary discussion is who halachically is the parent? Who is the mom? And by the way, when I'm asking who is the mom, it has nothing to do with agreements. I want to explain that. Some people don't understand that. Let's say the halacha's position is that the lady that gives birth is the mom. I.e., every surrogate mom, even with agreements, and she is really halachically the mom. Now, in the agreements, we will formalize it that way. In these agreements of surrogate, that everything is done in agreement, so that surrogate mom, of course, is mevater, okay? She is saying, okay, so if the halachic position, and I'm saying if, it's a big if the halachic position is that the lady that gives birth is the halachic mom, so what happens is this agreement that the mom agrees to give her child for adoption, for a lifelong adoption by the genetic parents that are not halachically her parents. I just want to explain that the issue of agreements will not change the preliminary halachic question, who is the halachic mom? That's the first question, okay? Who is the halachic mom? Who is the legal mom? Here there was a mistake, okay? There was a mistake by Assuta. Okay, mistakes are done. They have terrible consequences. They're painful to all sides. And therefore, if we speak legally, the parties have a right to sue Assuta for $1 billion, okay? It won't change the principal question, who is the halachic mom? Will that be the only consideration? Maybe not. But let's first review this. So, if we are, but I'll just add one more comment. I have a strong opinion in this case, even though I'm totally aware that every decision here is extremely painful, and could be viewed by the side that loses as an unfair decision, whatever. You can't escape that. I have here a strong opinion, and by the way, when I expressed it that Shabbat night, 3 days or 2 days after the decision, and I expressed it very briefly, so my kids were very upset, meaning that, and we had a whole discussion about it. At any rate, let's first go to the question, halachically, who is the mom? And here I want to explain. Of course, our ancient sources, i.e. halachic sources, i.e. Gemara, Shulchan Aruch, okay, they didn't deal with such a question for a very simple reason. Once all the stages, meaning fertilization, creating of the embryo, carrying in the womb, and birth, were never separated. So there were no. So no. There's no direct decision regarding that. This has to be said. So again, like a new, and I'll say when you separate the stages, so a priori, theoretically, you could speak about different stages that will be defined as who is the mom. One position is the mom is the genetic mom, the one that gives the genetic input, her egg. She's the mom. One position. Then there could be a position that says wherever the fertilization happened, the yitzirah, the creation of the embryo, there is the mom. Then there could be the one that carries the baby. She is the mom. Gives birth. She is the mom. Now, consequently, the results a priori could be the following, and I know that might, okay, the genetic mom is the mom. The one that gives birth is the mom. This creature, newborn, I would say that's better than creature. The newborn has two moms. It's just two moms. And it sounds weird, but yeah, two moms. And of course, another very weird a priori position. This baby doesn't have a mom. Why doesn't have a mom? Because if I define the critical moment as the fertilization, well, that was done in the test tube. So we won't say that the test tube is the mom because the test tube is not alive, but that's it. If this is the defining moment, then there's no mom. These are theoretically the positions. Now, of course, I think the main positions, the vast main positions that we show is either the genetic mom is the mom, either the one that carries in the womb and gives birth is the mom, or that we decide, but l'chumra, we're concerned with the other opinion, okay, when issues come. Now, of course, the ramifications are very, very clear. Now I'm talking about a regular surrogate mom case. Let's say there is a couple, and the lady is not able to carry the embryo in her womb, so they hire a surrogate mom. And let's say they hire a surrogate mom that is Gentile. Okay, if she is the legal mom, the halachic mom, then the baby that is born needs conversion. Clear cut. Okay, let's go to another ramification. Okay, if let's say the surrogate mom is an altruistic Jewish lady, okay, that is married to someone else, not to the one that the sperm and the and she just wants to be a human incubator, okay, out of goodwill to help a couple that are striving for kids to have kids. Okay, so is that forbidden because of Eshet Ish? Well, if the mom is the let's now talk it out. If the mom is again the one that is giving birth, then definitely it's problematic. Okay, or definitely could be problematic. Yeah, well, if you say that she's not a mom, she's just an incubator, then okay, she's married. So what? I mean, okay, you understand that's the. So I'll jump to the conclusion. I'll tell you, of course, the policy, halachic policy, is to avoid complications. Gentile surrogate is better, and maybe we'll do Giur L'chumra, okay? L'chumra or not L'chumra, depending on your opinion. Or, okay, and of course, a Jewish mom that is not married, but Rav Amar and other, in some very needed cases, Sh'at Chak, they allowed, and Rav Ovadia, I think, they allowed even a married Jewish lady, and they give these heter even for a married Jewish lady to be a surrogate mom. All of these things are depending, as I'm saying, on the basic question, who is the mom? So before we go to the sources, again, let's not talk about the Assuta case now. We'll return to because there are all kinds of noises there of other considerations. Let's talk about a simple case with agreement, with everyone is knowing what he's doing, okay? A surrogate mom. Who do you think, forget about halacha now, your own intuition, who is the mom? Yeah.
I'm not a Talmid Chacham by any stretch of the imagination, but if you have a fertilized embryo, right, with the mother who wants to have the child provides the egg, the father provides the sperm, it's fertilized out in the lab because it's not going to happen inside the mother's. That is their, for lack of a better term, and it trivializes the child, their property. So somebody who's doing that,
your position is clear.
putting it
Okay.
to somebody else.
Just okay. Let's crystallize it because I'm sorry I'll cut people a little short, so I apologize in advance. The minute that we, again, people that say, if I understand your intuition is, it's very clear that the genetic input that's the mom, and the surrogate mom is, as I said, a human incubator that provides a certain environment for this to develop. Yeah, other views. Yeah, what?
One who gives birth is on the basis that if it's a non-Jewish lady and the child has to be converted, so therefore the mother who gave birth, the one who gave birth must be the mother. Otherwise, the child.
No. I didn't say that's the ruling. I said that will be the ramification. I now asked, what do you guys? You're an educated man in 2025. I'm just asking you as a survey, the man on the street. Forget about halacha, forget about anything. Who do you think is the mom? the one that carries in the womb 9 months and give birth, or the genetic, or the lady that it's her genetic. So we heard an answer. I didn't speak about halacha now. Didn't speak about anything. Yeah.
I mean, you're asking who's the mother, who's the father, and I would think in the case where you've implanted into a woman, the father might be the husband of that woman. And if he's the father,
right.
I think that complicates things if you're going to say the mother is this other woman.
It might complicate, but
that's why I would think that
if it's a complication, but it's true. So life is complicated. I'm asking now. Therefore, I wanna. With all the respect, I wanna distinguish between the two. Meaning, the father. There is no doubt who is the father. Okay, the father is defined by the sperm. Easy. Also, we have sources for that. Okay, and simply because. We men, we don't contribute anything else. Women carry, women do a lot of stuff. We do almost nothing. Okay, that's the reality. I'm sorry. So therefore, the father is the person with the sperm. No one argues with that. Okay. Now I'm asking. What?
Then I would say the mother is the one who's attached to the father.
Depends on intent.
What do you mean by attached? I mean, yeah.
Depends on intent.
Okay. No, wait a minute.
So if it's a straight surrogate.
Excuse me. No, I'll hear you, but I want to hear what he says. Yeah.
If it's a straight surrogacy case.
Depending on intent, explain.
So if it's a straight surrogacy case, then the woman who gives birth is doing it for somebody else. And if it's her own sperm, etc., her own fertilized egg that comes back to her, then the intent there is to have the child. So the question, I would say, depends on intent.
Why should a definition, an objective definition, who is the mom, meaning who has a link to this child, why should it depend on intent? As I said, just to clarify, I want to explain. Let's say a surrogate mom, I said it before, a surrogate mom signed an agreement that after she gives birth, the child returns to and she had no intent to raise him, okay, right? Because she signed an agreement. It could definitely be viewed as giving her child to adoption, even though she doesn't define it this way. If the link of pregnancy and giving birth is a defining link as a halachic mom, then why should her intent make a difference?
I just threw it out because
No, okay, fine. Maybe in terms of intuition, you know what? That's fine because I asked not halacha, but in terms of thought, okay, I understand. Yes, please.
Before we even get to what are we defining as the mom? Halachic, biological, raising the child?
So you're absolutely right. So I asked.
Biological, it's going to be the DNA, it's the genetic.
You think that logic is DNA? Okay, fine. No, fine. I think that you had many people here that agreed with you. Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah.
I just want to add another sort of on the same
layer.
Question. One of the things, and it's done here, is called truma,
Mm-hmm.
in which a woman, either she's older or her eggs don't work,
Mm-hmm.
and they take sperm and an egg that's a truma and fertilize it and implant it into the partner or wife.
Right.
So, I mean, you can take this. That's why it's hard to say who's the biological mom. In the case you presented, from my perspective, intent was with both pairs to be parents.
Right.
So my
Right.
view is it's the biological parents.
Okay, I just want to mention one second. The other case that was mentioned, and it's very important, and it's on the list of discussions. An egg donation. Egg donation. Someone. This is, of course, it's done, but it's again halachically complicated. Could be why it's if I hold that the genetic mom is the owner of the egg. Then okay, there is a. So first of all, is it possible that a sperm of someone that is not her husband that will be fertilized? Maybe yes. Okay, because there is no problem. There is no interaction here. Okay, but I'm just saying to say that the halachic mom is the one that gave pregnancy, many will say no. Okay, many will say, and again, because if I go by genetics, and then that's the way it is. An intent, with all the respect, intent. First, there is some what we'll call objective truth, and then okay. I want to cut. I know there is more to say, but I just wanted to give a feeling of of the intuitions here. I'll just add. Some will say, just to look biological. Okay, so as we know, things happen in pregnancy. The embryo is influenced, is fed. So maybe she's the mom. Why do you think that only the genetic influence is biologically is defining who's the mom? Maybe the influence that is done by the by the whole process, and there are definitely scientific proofs that there are influences of the biological input of the pregnant mom. Maybe she is. Maybe that is defining mom, or maybe be'etzev tildi banim. The whole process of the delivery, which is painful. That is, and emotionally causing attachment. Maybe this is defining who is the mom. I'll just give a counter, and now I'll give a counter argument to that. Okay, there is some biological influence by the pregnant. You can't compare it to a genetic DNA, which is the main, let's say, component of defining the identity of the person. Furthermore, when I put someone in an incubator, well, of course he's fed by the incubator. He's fed by many, many things. We won't say that the incubator is the parent. Okay, so, and then they'll say, no, but here there is a living incubator. So we could have discussions about that. Yeah?
You've got two sides who have agreed to that one will be the giving birth and the other one wants, and she's agreed to give up the baby. So
give up, but look, the minute that you say she agreed to give up the baby, no, that's absolutely fine. Everyone has a right to give up his baby for adoption. That's why I'm asking the question before that, before the agreements. There is perhaps some objective truth here. Who is the mom? Then you could do all kinds of agreements. The mom agrees that she's giving up, and another lady is raising up the child ad mea ve'esrim. The agreement is not relevant here. That's what I said. Okay, all right, you understand? Now let's see the Gemara in Yevamos. Yevamos Tzadi Zayin Amud Bet. Tashma. Okay, that's a source that was given by Rabbi Zalman Nehemiah Goldberg. Tashma, Shnei Achim To'omim Gerim. Okay, here's the case. And again, as I said, sources will perhaps not give us clear-cut answer, just like we saw in the shir about Pidyon Shvuim. Shnei Achim To'omim Gerim. Two twin brothers that are converts. V'chen meshucharim. They were released from being an eved. Lo choltzin velo meyabmin. Okay, what they do is they don't do chalitza and they don't do yibum. Meaning, as we know, what is yibum? If one brother passed away without any child, then the brother should do yibum. But the thing is, if they got converted after birth, then we know that genetically they're brothers, but halachically they're not brothers. Why? Because halachically, when you're going a process of conversion, you're like a newborn. And if you're like a newborn, so there are two people here, and therefore there is no yibum and no chalitza here. Now, they also, if, not to say that it's permitted, but if one will have intercourse with the wife of the brother, it's not considered arayos, eshet ish, yes, but not eshet ach. Not there, because he is not halachically his brother, simply put. Okay, if they were converted after birth, since ger shenit gayer, a convert that got converted, he is like a newborn from the minute of the conversion. So there's no halachic link between these two as brothers.
Is this the halacha?
Yes.
And so
Now,
would they sit shiva for each other?
perhaps no. Okay? Though we could say that here there is another considerations, but I won't go into it now. Hayta uratan shelo b'kedusha, because let's say I'll just give, is he chayev b'kibud av? Yeah, Reb Moshe has a fantastic answer from the 50s. A Gentile mom asked her, and in these days it was less common to keep in relationships, whatever, I won't go into it, but she said, I'm dying, I want to see my grandchildren. And the lady, her daughter, asked Reb Moshe, should I? And he said, not only you're allowed to do that, you're obligated to do it, because there is a certain element of kibud av va'em here, despite the rule of ger shenit geir. So it's important to note that. But again, this we can give a separate what component of kibud av va'em is still remaining. We don't deny that biologically this lady gave birth and changed her diapers. So hakara satov, there's definitely here. At any rate, here in a legal discussion of yibum, these are two newborns. They're not brothers. Hayta uratan shelo b'kedusha veledatan b'kedusha. What happened if when the mother became pregnant, she was still a Gentile, but during the pregnancy, she went a process of conversion, a full process of conversion. So she gave birth as a Jew, but was how do you say it? Conception was as a Gentile. Okay, that's an interesting case. Are they brothers or not? These two are they Jewish or not? Lo choltzin velo meyabmin. Okay, they don't do chalitza. They don't do yibum. Here it's a middle stage. However, chayavin mishum eshet ach. By the way, even if they're Jewish, you need to understand. Even let's say they don't need now to be converted as babies, but maybe they became Jewish only after conception. Now, if the conception is the defining point to decide that you're brothers, then you're not anymore brothers. But what's more important for me is okay. Hayta uratan veledatan bikdusha, harein keIsraelim lechol divreim. Okay, now that's simple. If that's even not needed to mention. If the mom converted before conception, then of course they're totally brothers, etc. Now look at Rashi. Ein chayavin mishum eshetach, afilu kidshu leachar shenitgeiru, דגר שנתקשר ילקח אין לו אחווה ואפילו מן האם. לא חולצין ולא מייבמין, דצד ייבום מן האב הוא, והנה אין להם אב. אבל חייבים משום אשת אח מן האם, שהרי כישראלית שילדה בנים. Let's explain. We saw the middle stage. She was converted in the middle of pregnancy. Here we saw an interesting ruling that Rashi explains here very clearly. On the one hand, there's no yibum. On the other hand, they will be chayiv in arayos of eshet ach. Why? Because here the criteria for the two is different. Yibum is defined by brothers from the father, because the whole point of yibum is what? To give the name ken. Now, since she converted in pregnancy, so the sperm was given. Furthermore, maybe to begin with, that sperm is a sperm of a goy. Okay, the sperm is a sperm of a goy. The lady got converted. Okay, so since the sperm is the sperm of a goy, so there will be no yibum. He's not his brother from father. Ger shenitgayer kekatan shenolad dami. So he's not his brother from father. Fine, that's easy. However, he is considered brother from mother. That's why he is chayav in the arayos of eshet ach. Yeah, if he has intercourse with the wife of his brother, these two twins, yeah, he will be chayav in arayos of eshedach. Why? Because their dafka the mom is the criteria, and they are considered halachically as brothers from mom, even though the conception was when she was Gentile, and the conversion was
After they were conceived.
after conception, before birth. Meaning, what do we see? No, what do we see is that the fact that that lady carried them after conversion and, more important, gave birth to them, that is already enough to define them as brothers. Aha! Came Rav Zalman Nehemiah Goldberg, and now they're posting and say, aha! We got the proof. We had a question. Who was the mom? The genetic mom or the giving birth, the carrying and giving birth mom? Here we see that even though in conception that genetic mom is not their mom, okay, halachically, because ger shenitgayel kekatan shenolad dami, okay, they're like newborns. But the fact that she gives birth, carries and gives birth, is defining her as a mom. Haha. So we see that the surrogate mom is the mom. Okay. Clear? That's l'chora, a very good proof. And I said very good proof. And I see here the nods.
No.
Why isn't it a good proof in your eyes? What? Same. Who cares? The fact that she's the same person has zero halachic meaning because she was a Gentile in conception. She's not. When she's a Gentile, she's not their mom. So what do I care that it's the same person?
In our particular case, and I know you said to separate them, you're in possession of something that doesn't belong to you. You cannot benefit from that. Okay? Let's say you go into a repair shop. Two people bring in identical computers.
You're just explaining more what he said. Okay, that's what happens here. You're saying since it's the same mom, I don't care that she's a Gentile. It's her genetic input shows she has some claim for ownership. That's what you're saying. And then I replied, one can counter argument and said, there's no ownership because halachically she's not their mom. So who cares? But I see what you're saying. You could say that. Okay, tachlis biologically, just like in Kibud Avayim, we say. No, still we're not ignoring. But we're not ignoring that the reality is that there is a genetic bond here. So therefore here, there is no claim, whatever, and we'll say that way. Yeah.
Here, in the end, after the Gioret gives birth, there is no previous person.
Okay.
So therefore...
Very good. I think, again, you could either combine the arguments or analytically separate them, but the difference is very clear. And again, we can use the two arguments to support each other. One can say, when there is a competition, then the genetic wins. Okay? Here, there's no competition. There's no competition. Okay? So of course, if there's no other option, we will say that the lady that carried and gave birth is the mom. You can't prove from such a case where there is perhaps no genetic mom, okay, halachically, I'm just saying, or no other candidate. So here you'll use the definition of carrying and birth. That doesn't prove anything regarding a case where there is a claim, as you said it, from a genetic mom, and it's in a competition with another lady, birthing mom. There, we don't see any indications for that. And there are other rejections of that proof. If you'll just jump here, to Shut Yachel Yisrael, you see the last source in this page. Beram adayin yesh la'ayin. Who's Yachel Yisrael? That's Rav Yisrael Meir Lau. Da'at kan lo shamanu sha'em molida ya'em. From this Gemara in Yevamos, we heard that giving birth mom is the mom only when the first motherhood was taken away from that same mom, and like here in Gerut. But where the first motherhood, okay, is not voided for halachic reasons, let's like Gershon et Gerken, still you could say that she's the mom. And you say that, you could say either that when the motherhood of the genetic mom is still valid, then the other motherhood is bichlal not starting, the giving birth mom. And you say that the giving birth mom is a mom only when there is no other mom. And you could theoretically say that indeed here you have two mothers. I flipped the page. And this is a chiddush. At any rate, okay, we'll stop here. Here he deals with the other source that I mentioned. I'll just jump here to the last source. That's his son, Rav David Lau. Rav David Lau responds to the Assuta case itself. Rav Lau wrote right in 22, meaning right after the case started, that the mom is the giving birth mom. And he says, okay, so that was his position. Rabbanei Pua, the Pua Institute, also said, and they said something very interesting. They said that you apply a halachic general thumb rule that is called Ikaron hapashtut. You could say it generally in interpretation, the parsimony, that you're sticking with the more simple attitude. So they say, okay, what is a regular person seeing? That the mom that is giving birth, she's the mom. So we're sticking with that. I strongly disagree. Strongly disagree. I think that in our educated period, even the simple man on the street, when you ask him, and I did hear a quick survey. Of course, you're not simple people, but I'm just saying. People intuitively say that the mom is the genetic mom. I mean exactly the opposite. It's true that in terms of what the eyes see, like a very... if they say Ikaron Pashtut means what will a 4-year-old kid will say, that's the criteria for Ikaron Pashtut, so maybe I could see their point. But I really don't think... I think that in our era, lahefech, the intuition of most people is that probably the identity of the child is by the genetics, and therefore the genetic mom is the mom. Yeah.
I have to, sorry for getting personal, but I'm surprised that you as a clinical psychologist don't give weight to the birthing process, to the fact that they raised the kid for a couple of years.
So the answer is, I'll comment on that, even though we'll cover some other sources. We'll see if we'll do it next time or we'll just leave it. We'll see. But at any rate, I have to respond for that. No, that's great. So first of all, greater experts than me, like Professor Daniel Gottlieb, who wrote the opinion to the court, and again, it was not from any side. It was so he also thought that it's the benefit of the child dafka to be returned. Returned is already a political term, to be given to the genetic parents. I really do think that indeed, I have two steps here. Before the clinical answer, which I'll get to, first there is a principal answer. There was a mistake, and if my view, and it's my strong view, and again, as I showed you, that Rav David Lau disagrees with me, yeah? But there are many rabbis that agree with me, not regarding the Assuta case. Now I'm talking about the general question. Who is the mom? So Rav Yoshev changed his mind, whatever. More and more rabbis hold that the genetic mom is the mom, okay? So first of all, I'm not alone in this opinion. So that's first. Now, if you think that the genetic mom is the mom, which I strongly believe here, then first of all, there is some justice here, meaning the genetic parents claimed their mom from day one. Okay, you could ask about the benefit of the child, the other side too. Okay, if I think that a child A needs to know who is his parents. I'm coming in from two sides. A, parents have a right to have their child. Parents have a right to have if their child by mistake was taken from them, with all the pain, they should have their child back. And that's A. I'm very connected to that, if you're asking me. Now, consequently, with all due respect, it's not easy to take a 2-year-old or 1.5-year-old girl and to switch her to other parents. But to say that this will be a totally traumatic thing that she won't be able to recover, with all the respect, she's 1.5-year-old, okay? She's 1.5-year-old. These parents, and I think that was also part of the impression of the court in terms of the benefit of the child, will be at the right time, will process with her that, will explain her the history, okay? And if I really, what?
You may not, if you take the child from the birthing mother who she's recognized, who's this baby is recognized as her mother.
I'm saying again.
Then undo the damage.
I disagree. Hello, let me explain. I disagree. There's so many cases that we have of kids that were taken even in older ages and switched to other families for all kinds of reasons, and they were very and their mental health was very good. Dafka here, since it's a very young age, it's still a stage where this transition could be done more smoothly. I think that if I weigh all the things here, again, I repeat again, there are here legal and halachic parents that unwillingly, because of a terrible mistake, their baby was taken from there, and there is still now an opportunity to return the girl to her parents, and the surrogate mom. It's a terrible thing that was done to her. A terrible thing. A tragedy. And therefore I say she has all the right to sue Assuta for, in my eyes, $5 billion. Okay? But again, I'm separating this, and she says, and I went through all these processes and she's right. She's right. And yet still, if these are the parents, this girl belongs to them, okay? And we're still in a stage that it could be done with minimizing the psychological effects. That's my personal answer to that. That's where my position. I understand that there are other positions here, but that's the way I see it. I can't live peacefully with a situation that because of a mistake, someone that from 1 month after the birth, I don't know, knew that this is their child and claimed it, okay, will not get his child. By the way, and here's another discussion, if we speak from the perspective of benefit of the child, in the long run, I'm not sure what's the benefit. I'm not sure if the child will discover that tachlis, their parents her genetic is different. That might cause psychological complications later. Believe me, okay? And anger and what? No, I'm saying in anger. Wait a minute, in anger. What are you saying?
It's good for your business.
No, I don't. By the way, thank God. No, I'm just saying. Thank God, I'm both a rabbi and a clinical psychologist, and I pray for the day that I'll be unemployed as a clinical psychologist. Believe me, I'll have a lot to do. Okay. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem that that's the prognosis, definitely here in Israel. But I'm just saying, you asked a very valid question. This is exactly the question also that my kids were busy with when we had this whole discussion. I personally here, I admit, I'm not neutral. I have a very, very strong feeling that the genetic mom is the mom, and of course that is a point of departure that is of course coloring other opinions. Of course, if I would have been sure that it's a catastrophe for the mental health of the child, then okay, then I'll have a conflict. Okay, I don't think that's the case here. When this thing is done at this early stage, it's not easy. I agree. There is an attachment to the but
I still agree with the decision that that the child belongs to the genetic parents for the reason that I stated earlier. It's a possession of something that doesn't belong to you.
That's pashto.
Okay.
Sometimes it's simply
in my eyes, that's the pashtus. Okay, Beseder, I think we did. I'll just, I will use one more minute, maybe just not to read the sources, but just tell. Many other sources were thrown to the air. I Dafka focused on one that seemed a very critical one, but there's of course Divrei Agada that it's very hard to learn from. But one is that Dina and Yosef. There is an Agada. There is an Agada that Dina was first in the womb of Rachel, and Yosef in the womb of Leah, and then Leah prayed, and then miraculously they switched. So you could see here that the giving birth mom is the mom, or stuff like that. So I said, miracles are miracles. Maybe the genetic input by a miracle also changed. I mean, that's my simple answer to that. You can't prove anything from Agada. And also, by the way, by some Midrashim, it proves the opposite, because they said that's why Shimon was allowed to marry Dinah. So then here you have a clear cut that Dafka, the genetic mom, is the mom. Okay. Then we have flip the page in Sota, some proof from Orla that again is problematic. Another Agada about Esther. All can be dismissed. I'll just say the Gemara Nida, which is again Agadic. I will read just that Gemara and then we'll end. Tanu Rabbanan. It's the middle source in the second page. Tanu Rabbanan. Shlosha shutafin yesh ba'adam. Hakadosh Baruch Hu ve'aviv ve'imo. Aviv mazriya loven. There are three partners in a person. Kadosh Baruch Hu, father and mother. The father gives the whiting thing, and which means the zera, which is stands from there the bones and moach, whatever. Imo mazrat odem. The mother gives odem, redness. That from that it's the skin and the flesh, whatever. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives him the software, Ruach u'Neshama. Okay. So here, the simple reading is that the genetic input is but again, these are Agadic sources. The ability to learn from them is limited. Okay. שיהיה לכולם בשורות טובות.